Hello, children. Today we are going to read The Invention of Shoes by Rabindranath Tagore. In this, we will come to know how were the shoes invented. Actually, it's a fictional story, but it tells about that sometimes foolishness also brings invention. I hope you would enjoy the story and would come to know about the invention of shoes. Now, before we begin, we should know about Rabindranath Tagore. We know Rabindranath Tagore was a renowned Indian poet, writer, and painter. Means he had different qualities. At the same time, he was writer, poet, painter, musician also. So this was the quality of Rabindranath Tagore. Now he won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913. Means he was the first Indian in literature to receive the Nobel Prize. He was given Nobel Prize for Gitanjali. Gitanjali is a collection of poems, so he was given the Nobel Prize for this. Now he also wrote a story and poem for children, and this present poem is also the part of his writing for children. Now let's come to know about the story. Once upon a time, there was a king called Hobo. One morning, he summoned his minister and said, "Listen, Goburai, I stayed up all night thinking, why should the dust dirty my royal feet whenever I step on the ground?" Now, this is the story of a king, and what was the name of the king? The name of the king was Hobo. And one morning he summoned means to call. He called his minister and said, "Listen, Goburai," means Goburai was the name of his minister, and said, "I stayed up all night thinking. The whole night I was thinking. Why? Because a question came to my mind. And what was the question? Why should the dust dirty my royal feet?" Now, this was the question. Means he was considering his feet very royal. Means he was very proudy. It shows that the king was very proudy, and now he wanted to get rid of dust whenever I step on the ground. So this was the question of the king Hobo. Now all you people, you are only concerned with pocketing your fat salaries. You have no concern for the king or the kingdom or the problems that bother me. You must put an end to this at once, or else no one shall be spared from my royal wrath. Now look, he said, all you people, you are only concerned with pocketing your fat salary. Means you are only think about your taking money, fat salaries. Means very big salaries, very good amount of salaries. And you have no concern for the king or the kingdom. Means you never think about the king or the kingdom or the problems that bother me, that disturb me. Bother me means that disturb me. So now you must put an end to this at once, and now you should try to sort out my problem. Otherwise, I would not spare any one of you. I will not leave any one of you of my anger. Of my anger. Now, Goburai. Goburai. Who was Goburai? Goburai was the minister. Goburai was the minister. He was called in the morning. So now Goburai wondered and worried. He pondered and perspired. Now Goburai was wondered and worried, and he also started thinking and sweated. Why? Because everybody knows nobody can get rid of dust. So this is the very natural for him. Now he started thinking about that. How can we get rid of dust? The pundits' faces turned pale. The face of intelligent people became very sad. The courtiers' knights turned sleepless, and now nobody was in rest because everybody started thinking this is a very big challenge for them because it's not easy to get rid of dust. In the kitchen, the cooking stopped. In the castle, the carrying started. Now, yes, everything was, the crying started. Means in the kitchen, cooking stopped because everybody was worried, everybody was thinking about to sort out the problem, otherwise the king would punish them. The king would punish them, and everybody started crying. So now, Goburai looked far and wide and gathered all the scientists and learned men. Now, all the scholars and mechanics he could find. They pushed their glasses up their nose. Now you see, Goburai looked far and wide, means he looked everywhere and gathered, collected all the scientists and intelligent people, all the scholars and mechanics. He could find the solution of this problem. They pushed their glasses up their nose and sat down to find a solution to the royal problem. They all just sat down to think about the problem because it was not easy. After thinking long and deep, they said, if you do away with the soil, how will you grow crops? Now the question comes, all of the scholars say, if you do away with soil, because this is very natural. We all have to live on the ground. So it's very natural that we come with contact with the soil, dust. So how will you grow crops? All the intelligent people suggested. The king replied, if you cannot figure out how, then of what use are you? If you cannot figure out means if you cannot find how, then of what use are you? Then there is no use of yours. If you cannot sort out my problem, so why should I keep you on? So they thought some more, and then they made a purchase of 17,50,000 brooms. Now look, they thought some more, and they made a purchase of 17,15,000 brooms. Workers were summoned, the dusting of the kingdom commenced. The dust covered the king's face and chest. No one could open their eyes because of the dust. No one could see the sun. People coughed and choked. The kingdom was almost buried under the dust. Now they just 17,50,000 brooms they called, and they started cleaning the dust. But as we know, now the dust covered the whole kingdom, and everybody started coughing, and everybody was under the dust. The king said, you were supposed to get rid of the dust, not fill the world with it. Now the king became angry and said, you were supposed, means it was expected from you that you will try to get rid of dust, but in place of getting rid of dust, you have covered us with the dust. Then 21 lakh water carriers set out with bags of water. They ran fast and they ran all over, pouring water wherever they saw a speck of dust, even a single dust they find, they started putting water over there. All the ponds and lakes were soon overflowing with mud. No boat could move on the river. There was no water, the water creature perished. Actually, all the water was not taken away from the pond, and now all the creatures of the water started dying. The land creatures tried their hand at swimming. They could hardly walk or run on the mud. And the land creature, they trying swimming in the river, because on land it was impossible for them to sustain because of mud. Now this is very funny story. No bazaar could be set up, so trading stopped. All the king's subjects sneezed and coughed and sneezed and suffered, and all the king's subjects, means all the people of king, started sneezing, coughing, sneezed and suffered, means all kinds of problems they started facing with the foolishness idea of the king. Now the king said, What a lot of fools! They got rid of the dust only to replace it with mud. And now the king became angry again because he told, what kind of foolish people in my kingdom, because they all are foolish, and now in place of dust they have covered with mud. Once again everyone gathered to solve the royal problem. Once again the great men and their assistant racked their great brains. Once again all the people started thinking of that, how to get rid of this impossible problem. They thought and then thought harder, but they were baffled and blank. They thought, they started thinking much, but they were baffled. They were surprised. They did not find any solution. They were at a loss to know how to lose the dust because they could not find any solution that could tell us how to lose the dust. Someone said, cover the earth with mats, rugs, and carpets. Shall I stop the dust from touching the royal feet? Now someone suggested we should cover the dust so that whenever the king is out, the dust must not touch his royal feet. So now this was the explanation of this. Further in the next video we will come to know the explanation of the next part.